So picture this. You're standing at the front of a room, and the projector is humming right behind you.
Oh, the classic nightmare setup.
Right. Like maybe you're gearing up for this crucial board meeting, or you're about to defend your thesis after, years of research.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just trying to pitch a brand new initiative to your own team. You spent weeks, maybe months doing all this research, and you have brilliant, undeniable information. But, and here's the kicker, as you click over to that very first slide, you look out at the audience, and you can literally see their eyes glaze over.
Just completely checked out.
Exactly. The phones start coming out under the table. We've all faced that dread.
Oh,
bro.
absolutely.
It's the ultimate presentation nightmare. Because you might have the best idea in the entire world, but if the delivery falls flat, well, the idea just dies on the vine.
It really is a devastating disconnect. And it's incredibly common, too.
Oh, yeah. The sheer gap between the massive value of someone's information and, the poor reception they actually get from the audience. It's staggering.
Right.
We see these brilliant minds fail to persuade people all the time. And it's almost entirely due to amateur slide design and delivery.
Wow. Just the delivery.
Yeah, because we pour all of our energy into gathering the data, right? And then we spend zero time, like literally no time engineering the actual experience of how that data is going to be absorbed by another human being.
Well, that is exactly the problem we're tackling today on this deep dive.
Right.
We are unpacking a true masterclass on presentation skills by Dr. Samet Tawfik. And our mission today is to extract his precise blueprint for taking dense, complicated info and transforming it into a captivating professional experience for you, the listener.
Right.
And the very first thing he suggests to cure this, it's actually completely counterintuitive.
It really is.
Before we even look at a screen, before you even click open PowerPoint or Canva or whatever, we have to start where every great design begins, the physical world.
Yeah. Dr. Tawfik's first major rule is incredibly strict. And honestly, it's a hard reset for most professionals. He says you have to step entirely away from your computer. Like, do not even open your presentation software. You have to start with pen and paper.
Which feels so old school.
I know, right?
But the analogy here makes perfect sense. To me, it's exactly like an architect sketching a blueprint on a piece of paper before they'd ever dream of opening up like complex 3D modeling software.
Exactly.
You have to know the overall shape of the house, where the front door is, where the load-bearing walls are, before you start arguing over, paint colors.
That architectural blueprint is the perfect way to look at it. And there's actually a deep psychological and neurological backing to this analog approach, too.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, when you write by hand, you're tapping into the memory of the five senses.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Tawfik specifically points out that writing by hand engages what we call hand memory and eye memory.
Hand memory and eye memory.
Yeah. The physical act of moving a pen across paper, it fundamentally changes how your brain processes the information.
Because typing is just too fast.
Right. Typing on a keyboard is essentially just transcription. It's fast, and it bypasses the critical synthesis center of the brain. Writing by hand, though, forces you to slow down. You have to weigh the importance of each word and actually synthesize your thoughts into a coherent narrative.
I can see how that totally changes the actual structure of the presentation.
Yeah.
You're mapping out your intro, your main body, your conclusion, based purely on logic.
Right.
Rather than just whatever happens to fit in the little text box on the screen.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, why this matters so much for you listening, is that it prevents the software from dictating your narrative.
Oh, that's a great point.
Think about what happens the exact second you open a presentation program.
It immediately hands you a template.
Yes.
It gives you this giant title box at the top and then a massive click to add bullet points box underneath it. Suddenly, you aren't telling a story anymore. You're basically filling out a form.
Right. The software's default structures start making massive narrative decisions on your behalf. It assumes every idea you have belongs in a bulleted list.
Which is terrible for storytelling.
Exactly. But by starting on paper, you maintain complete control. You dictate the journey. The software merely becomes a dumb tool, really.
It's just a tool.
Just a tool used to display the brilliant narrative you've already perfected in the physical world.
Okay, so our analog blueprint is solid. The paper's covered in ink, the structure makes logical sense, the narrative flow is there. Now we finally allow ourselves to open the laptop. But how do we translate that beautiful paper outline to digital slides without, immediately putting the audience to sleep?
That's the challenge.
Dr. Tawfik argues that the very first slide you build is the most critical real estate in your entire presentation.
It really is the make or break moment for audience attention. That first slide, it needs to have an attractive, uncommon title.
Uncommon. So no boring corporate jargon.
Right. If your title sounds like a generic corporate report that they've heard a million times before, something like Q3 synergistic output metrics.
Oh, I'm already asleep.
Exactly. They will instantly tune out. Their brains will automatically categorize your presentation as, well, nothing new to see here. You have to spark curiosity immediately.
And he also talks about breaking the ice in that opening moment rather than just standing there and reading the title out loud. He suggests using that opening slide to dissolve the tension in the room.
Yes, you have to build immediate rapport. And one of the most effective ways to do this is by asking a direct, relevant question to the audience around your core topic.
To get them involved right away.
Exactly. When you ask a question, it brings the audience into the conversation. It forces their brains to actively process and answer.
Make them active participants.
Right, rather than passive hostages sitting in the dark waiting for you to stop talking.
Okay, I have to admit, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a really busy listener right now, I might push back on this a little bit.
How so?
Well, if I'm in a high-stakes, incredibly time-crunched environment, say I'm pitching to a room full of impatient executives or defending a thesis to a rigid academic panel, shouldn't I just jump straight into the hard data to respect their time? Like, the icebreakers and questions almost feel like filler when the clock is ticking.
It's a super common fear, honestly. But Dr. Tawfiq's insight here is crucial to understand. Skipping that rapport-building phase creates an incredibly sterile environment.
Sterile?
Yeah, you end up talking at your audience, not with them. And as for jumping straight into a mountain of data, he cites an incredibly powerful Arabic proverb in the source material. Too much talk makes people forget some of it.
Too much talk makes people forget some of it. Wow, that hits hard because it is profoundly true. We've all sat through those presentations where it feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hose.
Right. Cramming data straight out of the gate actually disrespects the audience's cognitive limits. Which brings us directly to his absolute golden rule for the digital content itself.
The rule of one.
Yes. The one idea per slide rule. Never, ever cram.
If you have a complex engineering machine or like a multi-layered financial strategy to explain,
you don't put it all on one slide.
Exactly. You discuss one single component on one slide. Then you move to the next slide for the next component.
One idea per slide. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, but I have 40 pages of complex data to get through, I can't spread that out over 40 slides. We really have to look at the cognitive science behind it, Ro.
We do, and it comes down to cognitive load theory.
Okay, break that down for us.
Basically, the human brain simply cannot read dense text on a screen and listen to a speaker talking at the exact same time.
Because it's too much input.
It's because both tasks use the exact same language processing centers in the brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you put a full paragraph on a slide, the audience immediately starts reading it. And while they're reading, your voice literally becomes background noise.
They just tune you out completely.
They're not absorbing your explanation at all. So to enforce this one idea rule, Dr. Tawfiq implements this brilliant physical guardrail. He dictates that you absolutely must use a font size of at least 24.
Minimum 24, yeah.
Which, he notes, is exactly what he uses in his own university lectures.
Right. A 24-point font acts as a physical barrier against our worst instincts.
You literally can't cram.
You literally cannot fit a page from a textbook onto the slide if the text is that large. You're forced to distill your complex thoughts into brief, punchy bullet points. The slide should act as a billboard, not a document.
A billboard, not a document. I love that. So we forced ourselves into a strict constraint with our text, just a few essential words in a massive font. But if we do that, and then we surround those few precious words with a chaotic, distracting visual background, we've basically defeated the whole purpose.
Exactly.
That means our minimalism has to extend to the visuals. And Dr. Tawfiq advocates for a very strict visual diet, starting with the colors.
He proposes what we might call the fashion rule for colors.
The fashion rule.
Yeah. In the same way you wouldn't wear a professional outfit with 7 clashing neon patterns.
Please don't.
Right. You should never use more than 3 colors in your entire presentation.
Maximum 3 colors across the whole deck. That takes incredible discipline.
It really takes discipline, but it keeps the aesthetic clean and prevents the audience's eyes from experiencing genuine physiological fatigue.
Wow. Actual eye fatigue.
Oh, yeah. You want backgrounds that are solid and simple. No distracting gradients, no messy textures. But what's truly fascinating here is how the physical environment of the room you're presenting in dictates your design choices.
Lighting dictates design.
Exactly.
That is so fascinating to me. I've always treated dark backgrounds versus white backgrounds as just like a personal aesthetic choice. You know, like picking wallpaper for my phone.
What most people do.
I never realized it was an actual functional requirement dictated by the room's architecture.
It is an absolute game changer for audience comfort. Think about it. If you're presenting in a dark room, like a theater or a dimly lit auditorium, your audience's pupils are dilated.
Right.
If you hit them with a glowing, pure white slide, it physically hurts their eyes.
It's like staring into a flashlight.
Literally. So in a dark room, you must use a dark background. Think deep blue or dark gray paired with light-colored text. The contrast is soothing.
And if the room is bright,
Conversely, if you're in a bright, well-lit conference room, which is honestly the most common scenario, you do the exact opposite. You use a pure white background with dark text, preferably black, to ensure maximum legibility against the ambient light.
that makes perfect sense. You don't want a glaring white screen in a pitch black room, and you don't want a washed out gray slide in a sunlit boardroom.
Exactly.
Okay, so colors are locked in based on the room's lighting. Now, what about the fonts? Because I know a lot of professionals who love to hunt down unique custom typefaces to make their brand, stand out.
Oh, Dr. Tawfik warns heavily against this impulse. He calls it a major trap.
A frap.
Yes. You must stick to simple universal fonts. We're talking about Arial, Times New Roman, Calibri.
And this is where we run into what we can call the USB trap.
The USB trap, it ruins so many brilliant speakers.
It's brutal.
Think about the physical logistics of a presentation day. Very often, you're building the deck on your personal machine at home, right?
Right.
But then you have to bring it on a USB flash drive to plug into a foreign podium computer at a conference or a university. If you used a beautiful, custom, downloaded font on your home computer, but that specific font file doesn't exist on the podium's hard drive,
The software panics, and it
Right.
just substitutes it with whatever it can find.
then the formatting completely shatters.
Oh, just the worst feeling.
The words run off the edge of the screen, the bullet points turn into weird geometric symbols, the spacing is destroyed.
And you're just standing there.
Suddenly you're standing in front of a silent room, experiencing immense panic and tension while you frantically try to fix the slides before you even open your mouth to speak.
Your confidence is completely eroded before you even begin.
Exactly. By sticking to universal fonts, your presentation is bulletproof. It will look exactly the same on any machine in the world.
That is a practical lifesaver right there.
Mhm.
Avoid the USB trap at all costs. Now, we have to talk about animations.
Oh boy.
Because while we've thankfully moved past the 1990s era of, like, spinning text and opening theater curtains.
That's barely.
Well, true. But the modern equivalents are almost just as bad. We see people using sweeping cinematic morph transitions on every single slide or having chaotic auto-playing video loops in the background.
Right. It's the urge to make the presentation feel dynamic, but it usually achieves the exact opposite.
I always compare excessive slide animations to someone frantically waving their hands in the air
Yeah.
while trying to tell you very serious, important news.
That's a great visual.
It's incredibly distracting, and it completely undercuts the gravity of whatever message you're actually trying to deliver.
That analogy highlights the friction perfectly. When the
Yeah.
medium is too loud, the message gets lost.
Right.
Dr. Tawfik is adamant on this. Use a maximum of 3 simple transition styles for the entire deck.
Maximum 3.
Something subtle, like a simple fade or a clean right-to-left wipe. You're presenting serious, meticulously researched information. Your visual transitions should reflect that quiet professionalism rather than desperately begging for attention.
All right, let's take stock here. Our text is minimal, constrained by a size 24 font.
Mhm.
Our colors are clean and adapted to the room lighting. Our fonts are universally safe, and the animations are practically invisible.
Perfect.
Naturally, the next instinct to break up all this minimalism is to add images. But Dr. Tawfik warns that visuals can actually be a massive trap that destroys your credibility.
This is a trap where incredibly smart people routinely sabotage themselves.
Clearly, how?
Well, the first rule of images is to avoid the default software templates and overly use stock imagery. Like if you use a generic stock photo of a diverse group of people pointing at a skyrocketing line chart,
Oh, we've all seen that one.
millions of people have seen that exact aesthetic before.
And when you put those cliches on your slide, you're immediately signaling to your audience that you put zero critical thought into the visual aid. it screams amateur.
Exactly.
You want to use specific high-quality images the audience hasn't seen before to keep them genuinely curious.
And it isn't just about picking unique images. It's heavily about the technical quality of those images. There's an engineering proverb he emphasizes that is a profound truth in design. Your smallest drawing is your biggest enemy.
Your smallest drawing is your biggest enemy.
Think about it. If you take a tiny, low-resolution image from the internet and stretch it out by the corners to fit your massive slide, it becomes horribly pixelated.
Right, it gets all blurry and blocked.
It's physically unpleasant to look at, the edges are jagged,
Right.
and that single blurry image immediately ruins the entire professional aesthetic you just worked so hard to build with your disciplined colors and clean fonts.
Visual noise destroys trust. I have to admit, I struggle with this one occasionally. Like, if I'm just doing a quick Tuesday morning update for my 5-person internal team, obsessing over high-resolution, perfectly cropped images feels like overkill.
Sure, it feels that way.
And on that note, he also talks heavily about copyright. Does intellectual property really matter for a quick staff huddle? Isn't a slightly pixelated chart better than just staring at a wall of text?
It's so tempting to think that way, but a bad image is unequivocally worse than no image at all.
Really?
Yes. It's about the creeping danger of bad habits. And regarding the intellectual property, this is a critical warning from Dr. Tawfik that goes far beyond ethics. It's about self-preservation.
Self-preservation.
You cannot just take copyrighted images or proprietary charts from the internet without permission or citation and slap them into your presentation.
Even for the smaller meetings.
Especially for the smaller meetings, because that's where your baseline habits are formed. Think about the high-stakes environments you're training for. If you're doing a thesis defense or pitching a multi-million-dollar project to a board, stealing intellectual property opens you and your organization up to actual legal liability.
Right, that's a huge risk.
But even if no one sues you, it shatters your professional integrity in real time.
How so?
If a panel of experts sees that you have blatantly lifted someone else's copyrighted work without credit, they will immediately and silently question the integrity of your own underlying research.
Wow.
You lose all credibility before you've even made your core argument.
If they can't trust your slide, they won't trust your data.
Exactly.
Okay, so respect the IP, use high-resolution images, and ditch the cliches. Let's assume we've successfully navigated all of these rules. Our slide deck is flawless, it's legally sound, visually striking, perfectly constrained, and logically structured.
Beautiful.
But this brings us to the final evolution of Dr. Tawfik's masterclass, which honestly might be the most important realization of this entire deep dive.
Oh, absolutely.
The deck isn't the presentation, you are the presentation.
This is the ultimate paradigm shift. The presentation software is merely a tool. It's just a visual aid designed to assist the main character.
And the main character in the room is you.
Yes.
It's a massive irony in corporate and academic culture. We'll spend 40 hours agonizing over the hex codes of our colors, tweaking the fonts, perfectly aligning the margins of the slides.
Right.
And then we spend absolutely 0 hours practicing the actual words that are going to come out of our mouths.
Yeah.
We treat the slides as the star when they're just the supporting actor.
Which is exactly why Dr. Tawfik insists on rigorous physical practice. You must practice aloud.
Out loud.
Not just reading it silently in your head on the train commute. You have to speak the words out loud in front of a mirror, or better yet, in front of specialists or trusted colleagues.
Because it's different when you say it.
Totally different. You have to build the vocal muscle memory. You need to discover where your tongue trips over a complex phrase, or where a transition feels clunky.
And practicing aloud is really the only accurate way to measure your time management, too.
Time management is critical. It's a major, often unspoken metric of your success. Dr. Tawfik uses the example of a research defense, which frequently has a strict 20-minute limit.
I feel like human instinct, when faced with a 20-minute limit and years of research, is to try and squeeze 35 minutes of talking into that window by just speaking incredibly fast.
Which loops right back to cramming and disrespecting the audience's cognitive limits.
Right.
If you finish slightly under your allotted time, it is a massive flex.
It is.
It shows the room a masterful ability to summarize complex information. It signals that you know your material so deeply, you can distill it down to its pure essence.
And if you go over.
Conversely, going over time bores the audience, throws the entire event schedule off track, and in many academic or professional settings, it directly lowers your evaluation score.
You literally get penalized for giving them more information because you failed to respect the constraints of the room.
because constraints force clarity. And speaking of respecting the details, Dr. Tawfiq notes that reviewing the presentation for typos, formatting errors, or a slightly misaligned graphic is just as important as writing the presentation in the first place.
The polish.
A single spelling error on a massive screen undermines your authority. You must review it relentlessly.
Okay, so you've delivered your perfectly timed, beautifully summarized, typo-free presentation. You've navigated all the digital traps. Now we have to stick the landing. The conclusion.
The conclusion is your final opportunity to leave a lasting, positive impact. You cannot just abruptly say thank you, click off the screen, and walk away.
Right. That always feels like hitting a brick wall at 60 miles an hour.
Yes.
You've built up all this incredible narrative momentum, the audience is totally with you, and then you just slam on the brakes and the energy dies.
It's incredibly jarring. A strong conclusion is about intentionally transferring the energy you've built back to the audience.
How do you do that?
You invite questions to open the floor. You provide clear contact information so the intellectual conversation can actually continue beyond the room. Most importantly, you issue a clear call to action, or you create a compelling connection to a broader topic. You're actively transforming them from passive listeners who just received a data dump into active participants who now have a task, a challenge, or a new perspective to consider.
Transferring the energy back to the audience. That is a brilliant way to frame it.
It really works.
So let's do a quick recap of the journey we just took through this masterclass.
Let's do it.
We learned that to build a truly captivating presentation, you have to start analog, relying on pen and paper to build a logical blueprint and avoid the software's lazy templates.
Right.
You hook the audience immediately with an uncommon title and an active question. You adopt a ruthless, minimalist visual diet, maximum 3 colors, simple fonts to avoid the USB trap, and large text to respect cognitive load theory. You only use high-quality, legally sound images. And finally, you practice your timing aloud to absolute perfection, remembering that the slides are just the supporting actor to your voice.
It's a comprehensive, deeply psychological framework. It systematically strips away all the bad habits we've collectively learned over the years and rebuilds the art of the presentation around total respect for the audience and ultimate clarity of the message.
It really does. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Something for you to chew on as you prepare for your next big board meeting, pitch, or defense. It builds directly on Dr. Tawfiq's philosophy that the slides are merely a visual aid and you are the main event.
Right.
Ask yourself this. If you step up to the podium, you take a breath, and suddenly the power goes out in the building.
Oh.
You lose your screen, your slides, and your bullet points entirely. Is your core narrative strong enough, and do you know it well enough, to hold that room purely on the power of your own voice?